Well, let's get more now from Klaus Larres. He's a professor of history and international affairs at the University of North Carolina and joins me now from Chapel Hill. Are more sanctions against Belarusian officials over the crisis the solution? Isn't that why we're in this situation in the first place?
Well, more sanctions probably make a lot of sense diplomatically and politically, but on the ground, I don't think that Belarus will actually be impressed by new sanctions. They already haven't shown much impact on Belarus when the original sanctions were imposed after these false elections and manipulated elections in Belarus. What really can be done is difficult to know. It probably needs to consist of negotiations and conversations between all the sides involved. That is what Russia suggested today. But the big question still is Belarus actually prepared to talk to the EU, to Lithuania, to Latvia, and above all, also to Poland? That is what we don't know at all. At the moment, it looks like a very serious crisis, also a security crisis. There are more than 12,000 Polish troops at the border. Two Russian long-range bombers went along that border today. So it is heating up, and that cannot be the solution. It really is dangerous, and it needs to be resolved as a matter of urgency.
Yeah, and what does this tell us in terms of the European Union's ongoing crisis with migrants and how it deals with it? How can countries protect their borders but also deal with migrants in a humane way?
Yeah, we should not overlook that this crisis has been manufactured and orchestrated by Belarus, as van der Leyen just said in your video clip. It is not to be compared with the migration crisis of 2015, when really hundreds of thousands of migrants came from mostly Middle Eastern countries to try to get into European countries. That is a manipulated and orchestrated crisis. And also, we are not talking about hundreds of thousands of people. We are talking about 4,000 to 5,000 migrants who are now stranded in the middle between Belarus and Latvia and Lithuania and Poland. This is a humanitarian crisis. It's very sad for the people who are caught in the middle and who live really in very difficult circumstances without any medical support, any food, any water, and things like that. But it is not to be compared with the migration crisis of 2015. And the solution to overcome that really is you have to deal with that authoritarian regime in Belarus. That doesn't mean you accept the election outcome when you talk to Belarus, but you need to talk to them because the crisis at the moment, as I said, is heating up, and the solution cannot be cannot consist of a standstill where all the sides don't move and the poor migrants are in the middle and they don't have any chance to either go back to Belarus or to go into Poland or other European countries.
But what about Russia? What role can and should Russia take in trying to resolve this crisis?
Yes, that is why acting Chancellor Merkel of Germany phoned Putin today. She tried to convince him that Putin should put pressure on Belarus, which of course is a close ally of Russia's. But Putin apparently said that he has nothing to do with the crisis, that he can't do anything, and that the EU should directly talk to Belarus. This is of course not true. Russia and Belarus are very close allies, and Russia is fully informed and probably approves of what Lukashenko in Belarus is doing. So Russia is involved, but it doesn't want to be involved. And I think it really puts the blame and the responsibility onto European shoulders. And I cannot see any better solution than try to at least convince Belarus to get round the table and try to talk it over and find a solution that way. This is not ideal. After all, you are dealing with a very authoritarian government, a government which is ultimately responsible for having provoked that crisis. But what can you do? You cannot really let it go on forever. You cannot have a serious military crisis, which may well be escalating in the next few days or weeks. So you need to talk, despite all the difficulties and all perhaps the loss of faith involved in that. That is the only situation and the only resolution I can see if Russia doesn't want to get involved and impose some pressure on Belarus.
All right, we'll leave it there. Professor Klaus Larres joining us from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Thank you.